Welcome back, everyone. So, today we will continue chapter number 9, and today we will discuss chapter number 9, part 2. So, in the part 1, we have discussed why do we do subnetting. We have discussed that. We have discussed the fixed length subnetting, where we divide the subnets into the equal number of parts, like equal number of the computers, number of hosts. In this particular video, in this particular part, we are going to discuss the variable length subnetting. For example, you have a fixed length subnet. Let's say this is your static IP address 192.168.1.0. Now you have purchased this particular fixed IP address and you need to divide it into three subnet. In the first subnet, you have, for example, 126 hosts. In the second subnet, you got 62, something like that. So this is like a variable length subnetting. Of course, we can divide it into some more subnet as well. So let's see how we can do that, how we can do the variable length subnetting. It's also very simple. This video is going to be very short, and I believe it will clarify all your concept about the subnetting. All right, so let's take this particular IP address and let's see how we can divide it into three subnets of different sizes. Let's do it. So first of all, we will divide, let's say this is organization, we'll divide it into three parts. And let's say this is going to be where we will have the larger part, and these are the two small equal number of parts. So let's see how we can do that. For example, this is your HR, or let's say your staff members or production team, for example. This is, let's say, your marketing team. This is the marketing subnet. This is, for example, your HR subnet. Now, over subnet is going to be, the IP address is 192.168.1.0. And what I'm going to do is, I will, as you know, when we do the subnetting, we basically borrow bits from the host part. Okay, we borrow the bit from host part for the network part. So let me wipe this thing and let's make it big. Okay, so we have 192.168.1. Now I'm going to make 0. I'm going to borrow again. This is in the decimal, and we are writing this particular part only in the binary form. And as you know, it's class C IP address. So the first three octets, these are network part, and we are going to borrow one bit from here. So because we just need to divide it into for firstly. Now we are going to borrow 0 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These 7 bits are reserved for host. Only one bit of the last octet is borrowed for the network part. For marketing, first of all, we'll make a marketing HR department single loop. So 192.168.1. Now 0 is basically for the production team, like for this department. So here we are going to use 1. But the problem is we further have to divide it into two parts, right? Like marketing and the HR. So how we could differentiate it? So we are going to borrow one more bit from here, from marketing, like from the host part. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bits are again going to be reserved for the host. Now 2 bits are for the network, like make the part of this. Similarly, same thing for the HR. 192.168.1. .1. Again, this is for, because this is 0 is for the production team, 1 and 1. So 0 is for marketing, 1 is for HR, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bits are again reserved for the host part. Now let's try to grasp over it. Let's try to better understand it. Now, what would be the possible range? As you know, there is a possibility 192.168.1. This 0 is fixed. All the values can be 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is basically the network part. All these can be 0. It can be 1, it can be 2, and all that. And let's see what is the maximum value. 192.168.1.0. This is fixed, as you know. All these can be 1. All these can be 1, or there are many values like 1, 2, 3, 4, and all these stuff like 1. As you know, these are 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Everybody, I think, is familiar with that. So value could be, this could be 1, this could be 0, this is 1, this is 0, and all that. So now this is the binary value, let's write it down in the decimal form. Let's write it down in decimal. So let's see how it looks like. These are already decimal. So 192.168.1 dot all zeros 0, right? Or range is going to be 192.168.1 dot this 0 is fixed. So if you add all these together, because all these are 1, if you add these together, it's going to be 127. This is the range of IP addresses. As you know, this is basically the subnet ID. This is the subnet ID. This is the broadcast ID for this particular subnet. This is the broadcast ID. Got it? And now if you want to find out how many hosts are possible, so how many host bits we are reserving here? 7 bits, 2 power 7 minus 2. How many, what would be the answer? 2 power 7 is 128 minus 2 is equal to 126. I believe everybody got it. So 126 host IP addresses can be generated, and the IP address which we can assign to the host is going to be 192.168.1.1. All the way it will go to 192.168.1.126. So these are basically the range. I believe everybody got it, because 127 is reserved for broadcast, and the first one is the subnet ID that we don't use. Similarly, if we come down here, let's see how we can do that. The first 2 bits are reserved. So 192.168.1.10, this is fixed. So we got only 6 bits here, right? So all 6 bits can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bits can be 0, or there are variation, and maximum value could be 192.168.1.10 is fixed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All these can be 1. So what would be the value? If you converted 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. So what would be the value? If you write it down in decimal, let's convert into decimal. So 192.168.1, I'm writing for this one. All zeros, so it's going to be 128. As you know, 127, it ends in 127. And it can go up to 192.168.1. If you add it, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. So 128, 191. So it can go up to 191. That's basically the range. This is going to be the subnet ID. This is going to be the broadcast ID. What would be the number of hosts? As you know, how many host bits we have? 6 bits, right? 2 power 6 minus 2, which is equal to 64 minus 2 is 62. 62 different hosts can be generated. Values are in between. So it could be 129 all the way to 190. These are basically the reusable IP addresses. Similarly, if you come down here in HR department, the same thing, exactly the same. Let's do it. So 192.168.1.11. So all these can be 0, right? All 6 bits can be 0, or the maximum value could be, all values can be 1, right? So what would be the possibilities? Possibilities is if you convert it into decimal. So the decimal is 192.168.1.11. All zeros. So this is 128 and this is 64. 192, right? So all zeros, right? All zeros. So we have all zeros. So let me just clean it. This can be 192. And if you calculate, all these are 1. So the value is 192.168.1.255. So 256. Sorry about that. So if we add them together, so the thing is, what would be the possible values? What would, sorry, 255. Sorry about that. 255 if we add them together, not 256, 255. So now what would be the network ID? This is going to be the subnet ID for HR department. And this is going to be the broadcast ID, right? Again, as you know, how many bits are reserved for the host part? 6 bits. And we know the formula. It is 2 power 6 minus 2. If you calculate it, 2 power 6 minus 2, 64 minus 2 is 62. right? Usable IP addresses could be 192.168.1.193, and it will go up to 192.254. So this is the way how variable IP addressing or variable subnetting can be allocated. I hope you got the idea. We will discuss a different example in the class, and please watch the video before the class and bring the issues in the class. Thank you very much.